Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Cone Racing League here. This Monday night, we take across to the east of the world for the beautiful, beautiful Marina Street Circuit here in Singapore for round 12 of the Tier 4 Cone Racing League Season 5. Busy, busy night ahead on a very technical, very tight, tricky street circuit. A lot of action to cover for me tonight, but luckily, I'm joined by a very special guest. You'll already see it down in the bottom left. He's been here before. You all know him and love him. It's, of course, CRL, the real DC. Dan, how are you doing tonight, my friend?
Good evening. I'm very good, Scott. How are you?
Can't complain. In for an exciting race, hopefully. That's what we're all here for, so hopefully we will get that tonight.
Absolutely, especially a track like Singapore. Very tight racing, very tight track. We're going to see a good race.
Absolutely. We have seen already throughout this season that there is not much separating some of these guys here, so hopefully see a bit of more of that tonight. As we're quickly saying, though, it is, of course, round 12 of the season. We'll quickly blast through this. Bahrain, Russia and Brazil, the final three over the next 3 weeks. But tonight it's all about round 12, all about Singapore, as we've said, Marina Street Circuit, or the Marina Bay Street Circuit to give it its full name. Debuted here in F1 in 2008, 5 kilometres long with 23 turns. And it's had 7 previous CRL races. The last time out here, it was Mazzles, of course, in Tier 3 now. He took the top step on the podium. Will we see somebody else tonight? We know how nice they like their animals. The year of the dog, the year of the cat, the year of the goat. Will always be the year of the hedgehog here tonight. Maybe the spider, maybe the dog, or maybe even the chimp. Or will there be one of the others take it? I had to get that little pun in. Thank you very much to G. Wells for the help on that one.
Oh, God, he's going to be taking credit for that all day.
Oh, yeah, we'll never hear the end of it. And speaking of last time out, of course, can't skip over that. Hedgehog 11 took top step on the podium thanks to on-track pens, and also top step on the drivers' standings. Quick Killer 21 of the McLaren, shortly behind in P2, with Drone YT, the young man, getting his first ever CRL podium. He'll be looking to try and add to that in the last few races. Hedgehog will be looking to add to his points tally and maybe take a bit more grip on this Drivers' Championship, and Quick Killer will definitely be looking at extending the Constructors' battle. Speaking of the standings, Hedgehog 11, like we say, took AFL's lead in Austria last week. Mark Wilson, Mean Man Moody, still in with a shot of this title, as is Wild Dog. He's got an outside chance, but he's still within a chance. But they are the main four we're looking at tonight, with Hedgehog and AFL, the key crucial battle. Only 10 points separating them, of course. There is a total of 41 available here tonight. Constructors, like we're saying, that McLaren of Quick Killer, that podium did good stuff for the McLaren boys last week. Of course, me and Dan, a member of that team. No bias here at all, of course. But the Mercedes-McLaren-Williams battle continues to rage on. AlphaTauri not far off the mix, and neither is Red Bull. So this is definitely not over. With 164 points from every tier and 4 tiers still to race, there's a lot of points. Well, actually more than that, of course, because there's 2 drivers a tier, so there's literally hundreds of points available. So this battle will go right down to the wire. But enough of my nonsense rambling that I like to do week in, week out. Dan, what's been happening on the track? We'll just have the first few laps starting here, I'm assuming.
Yep, so just a few drivers taken to the track. I think the first one to set a time is, I might be wrong, but I think it's Atomic. There is a man just going across the line now. No, it will be Atomic. He will be the first one. Just double checking for you.
He will be the first. There we go. The camera was stuck on cockpit view for a second there. Sorry about that. He will be the first in the Haas, of course. Was a full-time driver. Had to give up the seat for a few weeks and is now back as himself tonight. So we have our first retirement on track. It is Drone YT in the Alfa Romeo through, I believe that is between turn 7 and 8 in the second sector. Maybe just losing it ever so slightly, making contact with the walls that we know is so easy to do. But it will be Atomic, like we've said, to complete the first lap tonight on the softs. So it should be a fairly racy circuit, a racy time round the circuit, of course. It is early on. We did see him go a little bit deep into turn 15. He does cross the line for 1:39.9. Shortly followed by Reverend Melvin.
Straight away, good time, 38.8.
Absolutely, very, very good time. I'm predicting, could we see 37s? I would say so. Piero a 38.5, maybe 36s. Who knows?
Yeah, I'm going to say I know I was optimistic last time out. I think I got it right on the dot last time I commentated. I'm going to say a 37.2.
37.
Not sure who from. I'm optimistic.
Well,
But,
of
you know.
course, it is a good time for somebody else to take the pole position. MUFC Harvey, not racing tonight, unavailable unfortunately. He's been showing good pace in the qualies this season, getting a number of consecutive poles. Mark Wilson, though, was the last pole sitter last time out. Others to watch out for: Hedgehog, of course, Matt Rowney, Wild Dog, EFL, as Scott Gay crossed the line to go professional P5 are right on board with him. Could it be one of the reserves, though, in tonight? Of course, we do have a, maybe not an official debut, but definitely a proper racing debut in Bailiff. Currently P7 in the Aston Martin. Of course, he did join last week, but unfortunately got hit by a game-breaking glitch right at the offset, so couldn't even set a proper quali lap in. He could be one to watch. I know he has got a bit of pace about him. Another person to watch, his young lad himself, the first father-son pairing officially out on track this week. Him and Aussie Bailiff and Aussie RL. Wonderful to see. Let's just pray for maybe a bit of on-track action between the family. Maybe not too close. That could be an awkward dinner tomorrow night.
Yeah, Christmas might be awkward depending on what happens the rest of the season.
So if you're listening, Aussie, I'd maybe just give your dad a little bit extra room, or you might not get that new steering wheel this Christmas. Who knows?
If you want those pigs in blankets still on that plate, maybe give him a few positions at the end.
Oh, nah. I'm sure he wouldn't give an inch. I know I wouldn't with my father. I'd race him right to the end if he could keep up, of course. Mark Wilson, though, last week's pole sitter, 1:39.2 on the mediums. So 7/10 off the top. Of course, there is a fair delta around this track. It is quite a technical, long, tricky circuit, but it's a solid time to set off with Wild Dog coming through the final sector, though. He is on a soft lap, coming around the final few bends to set his first lap, and it'll be a 1:38.6 right up there with the top as well. So he's in the mix early doors on these banker laps. One to watch further throughout.
It does look like he might be going for another one. I'm not sure. He does seem to be, he seems to be keeping that speed up. So he may have made a few mistakes and might think he's got a bit of time to make up on the lap somewhere.
Absolutely. Well, a few tenths is enough to get him pole, but we know what he's like. He'll be looking to get the pole by the greatest margin possible and really continue on the good bit of form he had in the middle part of the season. Matt Rowney, though, speaking of somebody in good form, a 38.4 on mediums. What a lap that was.
That's definitely, I think he's definitely trying to get that strategy sort of advantage. We know that the softs don't last too long on this track. No safety cars, no big incidents. He could be in for a good race, especially if he starts at the top on those mediums.
Absolutely, we did touching on it there, the strategy around the circuit. Not like the usual soft, medium, one stop we see most of the time. This is really a track where medium hard, soft hard, a soft medium medium, a soft medium soft. There's expect a big variety here, especially like you say, if we get the safety cars or virtual safety cars. That could really spice things up. The other thing, of course, Singapore is known for, it's lovely wet weather. Could we see a little bit of rain in the mix tonight? Definitely possible.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we've seen it before. I don't think it's not a bad shout to say we're going to see it again. If not in this tier, definitely in the others. We've got 4 races this week. I'm banking on it being in at least one of them.
Do you know what? I'm a bit more maybe optimistic, maybe pessimistic. You know, I'm hoping for the rain. Tier 2, Tier 1, both rain if it doesn't rain here tonight. I would wish it on Tier 3, but they've had their fair share, and I'm sure Murphy and the lot would have some fierce words. But speaking of another quick lap, a 1:38 flat from Quick Killer. We were riding on board with him there in the McLaren, on the mediums as well. We're definitely going to see some low 37s here if these guys choose to go again on the softs. Scott Gay shortly behind, coming in on the softs, picks up traditional P2 with what is effectively a 1:38 free, but we'll call it a 2:99. Just so it looks a
Call it a
better.
38.2. Let's round down.
I'm sure they'll appreciate that from us. Fonios Chimp though, now started off as a reserve. He's had some good improvement over the last few weeks, I must admit. A man I know fairly well, I've raced him a few times. He's pretty new to the league system, especially maybe something a little bit, I suppose you'd call CRL a fairly serious league. We like our banter, we like our entertainment, but when it comes down to it, we're all here to race proper. And he's been looking strong over the last few weeks, growing week in, week out, improving his pace. And according to the game, he just went a purple sector 1. Going to ride on board with him here for the final part of his line and see what the young chimp can do. I'm assuming the Oz is actually for Australia. As he does, he runs wide and invalidates through turn 14.
One of those corners, isn't it? It's a very tough corner to get right, but if you do get it right and go out just wide enough but just narrow enough that you don't get that invalidation, you can gain a lot of time, especially if you get that throttle down quickly.
Absolutely, you can just carry so much more speed through the corner, get the throttle down like you say a lot earlier, and absolutely blitz it on the exit. Does that count as commentator's curse, Dan? Have we started early tonight with this, or?
It might be. What we'll do is let's try and limit that so we can see some competitive sort of qualifying and racing.
Yeah, trying to keep like you say, keep ourselves to the voices only, not getting involved with the track.
It's just not name names. That might say
that Merc with that guy in it. That's who we're watching right now. The Merc with the guy in it. Speaking of this guy, he is coming through the final sector. I'm maybe giving away too much information who we're watching right now. Of course, you can all see at home, so it's all a bit platonic with that. He is going to come around the final few bends here, get that DRS open right at the start of the straight, give us a little wave actually as he does, and he goes P6 with a 1:38.6. Who is on a lap now? Hedgehog, the championship leader. We can't not have a look at one of his laps. Out in the mediums as well. We know he's got similar sort of pace to Quick Killer, definitely, so he should be up there in the mix. It's all about though in quali, especially these short qualies. You've only got time for maybe 4 runs on some of the short tracks, 3 runs on majority of tracks, and 3 runs on this track definitely. By the time you do an out lap, in lap, and flying lap, you're about 6 minutes, so even that could be done it fine.
Absolutely, yeah. Especially a track like this, you only get sort of one chance. Make a mistake, and that obviously such a narrow track like this, it does obviously put you at a big disadvantage. Any invalidations, any contact with the wall, and it means you've got to miss out on a run essentially. So yeah, as I said, just make every single lap count.
Speaking of, well, I don't really know where I'm going with that, but Mr. Consistent, I forgot to turn off my notifications again, and CRL do well making his weekly appearance when he starts off his party for his race later on tonight. But Hedgehog is going to cross the line, only a 1:40.4. Lost some time during that lap, definitely. He is derating, that red light flashing at the back there, it seems, although it might... Who knows, he might be going again. Drone Whitey has left the session. Dan, would you be able to hit him up with another invite in case there is some sort of issue there?
Yeah.
I hope he hasn't left thinking he can rejoin back later on. I hope
Yeah,
it's just
I am going to double check for you before I send him another invite. I'm going to check with the admins. I'm going to check with him just to double check to make sure we don't get any of these glitches that have been happening.
Beautiful. Of course, all of you within the community will be aware that the game dropped a nice little update for us today. Of course, giving us Jeddah. He is back there, yes. It must have been a little desync, deconnect issue. He is back in the lobby, nice and dandy. But, of course, we had the update today. It has flung in a few more games. You know how, a few more issues with the game. You know how Codemasters are. They give it with one hand and take it from another. Return for Jeddah and fixing a couple of bugs like the tyre selection bug. They have gave us some nice late quali bugs. And speaking of quali, 37.8 from AFL. There's a reason this guy's second and had been leading the championship for most of the season. He's got
Hedgehog's going to be looking at that time from down in 14th, a bit worried at the moment, knowing that his title contender's up there on the mediums in P1. I'm sure he's already checked the tyres he's on, and we'll just have to see how he reacts, won't we?
We'll do. Oh, sorry, just to jump back in. A disaster for Bailiff 3 there. Invalidated on the final corner for what was looking to be a good lap. I didn't quite catch the time. I was a bit distracted by the Haas of Atomic, which had a nice little meeting with the wall there on the exit of the corner. We've seen that before in previous seasons, Dan. Too many times. That's a spinning point
into
in
the pit lane?
Yep, into the pit lane, or if you're unlucky, into the wall beside the pit lane.
Yeah, it's such a tricky sort of pit entry to get, especially if you're trying to go at some speed. Yeah, we have seen it a lot of times in CRL, and I don't think it's going to be the last, unfortunately. Probably not the last this week. Me myself, I've got a bit of a habit at going in too hot, so expect a bit of car to wall action, I'd say.
I cannot wait to tune in for the Tier 1 streaming Thursday night then, just to, well, just to see who kisses the wall. Not going to say any names. Of course, you've maybe put yourself out there, but hopefully not. Mean Man Moody crosses the line, though. Back to the action here. Goes P9. Ever so slightly jumping River and Melvin. And just switching to the tyres at the moment. The best lap times. So everybody in the top 10, bar Matt Rowney, Quick Killer and AFL, are on softs.
You're
So
right, yeah, AFL on those mediums. Matt Rowney's in the pits. It looks like he's chosen the softs, but it depends if he's going to come back out. Doesn't look. He's sat in the pits at the moment. He will have to get out soon. Who else was it? Was it Quick Killer as well? He's also on those softs in the garage. But again, will they come out? Quick Killer in P2 on mediums. It's not a bad way to go. It might not be that bad of a shout for him to just stick with that lap.
Yeah, I mean, P2, well, a 38.0. You know, you've got a few attempts to the guys behind you. Fair enough, there might be a few mistakes in their lap. The tracks came on a long way, but P11 downwards, it isn't a terrible place to start in this circuit. Obviously, you're a bit more in the mix. There is still opportunities to overtake, and there is, of course, the looming threat of safety cars and adjusting strategies on the fly. So it's not necessarily terrible for these guys to be starting in the top, outside the top 10. But we'll see. He is Quick Killer and Matt both on an outlap. Chimp retired in the pits there, choosing not to go again.
Yeah, going back to the point you said about out the 11, I would be surprised if anybody from 11th down does choose anything different but the mediums, especially even if there is a safety car. Those tyres can obviously still go sort of quite a decent sort of distance into the race, and I just think it'd be the smartest move to start on.
Gives you a lot more flexibility with your strategy later on. Of course, if there's a later safety car, the softs you're sort of banking on, is there going to be a safety car in the first 6 laps? And yes, it is Singapore, but that's never a guarantee. We know that this game can be like with safety cars. Sometimes it gives them for something that is literally half a front wing on the track, and sometimes it just decides, nah, there's a car parked at the apex, but that's fine, we'll get that cleared in 2 seconds for you. Mean Man Moody, though, sorry to jump back in there, but Mean Man Moody, he went P2 there on the softs, so he's jumped Quick Killer down. Only a 10th clear and 10th away from AFL on the mediums, so AFL may be taking to heart the fact that he's lost his championship lead last week.
Yeah, a bit of frustration, maybe trying to show him how it's done. 50 seconds left of the qualifying. I can't see anyone. Well, you've got a few people that are quite fast. Obviously, Quick Killer, he set that time on the mediums. He is on a lap now. He might stand a chance of getting that pole, but I think AFL has put himself in a really good position on those mediums.
Well, you say that. The young man in the Ferrari, Wild Dog K9, he was a second up in his time through the second sector. That would give him 37.6. He's rounding the final corner, getting a little bit drifty. He goes for 37.3.
He's made me eat my words.
It's not far off your estimated time, though. Of
30. What did I say? 37.2.
37.2.
Is that what I said?
Yep. And interesting to know, AFL is P2. Hedgehog has retired. I don't think that was on track.
Oh, it's weird because, sorry, I wasn't keeping an eye out. I probably should have been. But maybe it was because I don't think he'd specifically sit down in 15th on those mediums. I think even if, like, just to give him track position, he may have gone out on the soft. So he's either obviously made some mistakes on his lap, invalidated that sort of thing, not been able to start a lap, or he has retired on track. I'd be quite surprised if he sat in that garage and not gone out.
Or, well, so we'll jump back to that. Quick Killer rounded the final corner here. He goes for you can only manage a 37.6. He was 3 tenths up in his time, but not enough to get Wild Dog from the pole position. Scott Gay is on a lap. Matt Rowney, though, he is 4 tenths up on his time at the moment. He will need to be just over 2 seconds up in his time. So has he got a fierce final sector in here? He's going to round the final turn. Crossing the line for a 1:37.7 goes P3. So bumping AFL further and further down on those mediums, but of course, and then Riordan bumping him even further down there. P3 for the Mercedes.
Good lap.
Solid.
Is there anyone else on a lap, or is that it?
It looks as if, I do believe Baitno Bailiff is not on a lap. Scott Gay's into the pits, so that will in fact be us. Wild Dog takes pole position. I'm not sure Don't quote me on this, but I think that is his first ever pole position.
I will do a fact check for you.
Oh, lovely. See, this is the man you want in your comms booth. But Wild Dog taking pole
Not just
position for the Singaporean Grand Prix. Quick killer.
There we go. Not just a pretty face. Sorry, Wild Dog pole in Azerbaijan.
Ah, there we go. We did get one, of course. I see, I've got an excuse. I wasn't about for that race. But quick killer in P2 behind Wild Dog, who takes his second ever pole position. Riordan, the Irishman, getting on the podium a few weeks back, gets back on the podium in qualifying this time. Matt Rowney in P4. He's been on a sharp incline since joining only about 3 or 4 races ago. AFL, the championship contender, P5, the only one on the mediums. Mean Man Moody P6 with Mark Wilson, another title contender, them two, P6 and P7, with Bailiff on his official debut, P3 with Scott Gampiero rounding off the top 10. Hedgehog, though, down in P11. I wonder if that was, I'm not going to improve enough on these mediums. I want to start on the mediums. I'm going to start on the mediums. And I
It
don't
does
care.
give him free choice of tyres, doesn't it? Down in 15th, though, that could be quite crucial, especially on a track like this, where track position is very, very key. As we've seen, don't like to say it, but he does seem to be sort of a strategic mastermind, so to say. Pulled off a few very good results from his strategies, even though he has started lower down. So will we see it again today? Don't want to jinx anything, but maybe something to look out for.
Absolutely. Just one thing to point out there, looking at the comments, it looks a little bit light. Do you think there might have been a little issue and we're on for a daytime race?
Yeah, I did look at that. I was wondering, but I wasn't sure if it was, how so sometimes there's tracks that the light during qualifying and then race in the evening,
Yeah.
or night, so to say.
I always remember Singapore being a bit a dusk quality and then a night
Yeah.
race, but I don't know how dark it is at dusk in Singapore. I believe we might also have an issue with the lobby here because I'm still just looking at the results.
Yeah, so mine's just loaded up. They're on the formation lap on my screen so far.
Well, it looks like I've got the issue. Can I get another invite, Dan? I'm gonna have to.
Of course you can, but you may be right. It does look like it is going to be a daytime race in Singapore.
I can't even quit the lobby. Right. This will be a first. I suppose that's the benefit of the capture card. I'm gonna have to close the application and restart from there. So I suppose it's the benefits of having the capture card. The stream won't close. You just have to watch me load into the game. Hopefully we can get in time for the formation lap ending. But Dan, while you send me an invite and I load in, I suppose it's over to you.
Of course I can. I'm not really sure how I'm going to do it, but I'll try and describe it as much as I can.
I suppose for the next 30 to 90 seconds, CRL is now officially a radio show as opposed to a video streaming platform. Hopefully, though.
You say that, but it's taken a while to even load up the invite, so I might even miss it. We never know.
Alright, I've got an invite from the host from earlier. I'm going to try that one, and hopefully it'll let me load in.
If you've got an invite, I'll send you one just in case.
I'm in. We're all good. You don't get this in Sky Sports, folks. You just
don't
get,
no, they're too. We're over here in CRL. We're raw. We tell the truth and we show it how it is. We don't dress anything up.
No messing about, no mucking about. It's just pure raw, unfiltered action, including all the great game-breaking bugs that comes along with it. I'm hoping this is the slowest formation lap of their lives.
They are still on the formation lap. You're absolutely right. So you're okay. It might not be the radio show.
Yes, we are back just in time for the official broadcast. Back from the radio show. Back to the full broadcast. And yep, it's a nice sunny day here in Singapore. Some of the drivers might not like that. Some of them might be thinking, this is a lot better. I can see a lot better. It's certainly going to look weird. But as you're saying, everybody outside the top 10 starting on the mediums, apart from Atomic. He's opting for the hards, AFL in 5th on the mediums, and the rest of the top 10 on the softs. Soft runners are looking like a 2-stop. The medium hards, medium hard is a strategy around here, we do know. Soft, hard, soft, it is potential, but we will, I suppose, see what the guys pick. They are all lining up on the grid, and we should be ready to go very, very soon, as we are. Lights loading in, 5 red lights, and it's lights out for round 12 of CRL Season 5 Tier 4. Quick Killer getting a good start, getting the jump on
slow.
Wild Dog. Wild Dog getting bogged down a little bit. It does come round the first turn.
I think that's
P2.
fairly clean from all of them going through that turn 1, which is good to see. It's I'd say it's quite rare in Singapore, especially with those that narrow sort of chicane-like sort of set of corners you've got there.
Very, very tight, technical first couple of turns, and as you can see, when you get likes of a Ferrari there, going slow on the start and the cars behind them getting a good launch, you can be 3, sometimes even 4 wide on the track. A few overtakes towards the mid-pack. Mark Wilson getting past Piero. 3 wide there through the middle sector. Tomo Tip Top, Aussie and Reverend Melvin, I believe it is. There's a race strategy up for you there, folks. Hard, medium, a 1-stop. The game's saying a medium, medium, soft. That's definitely viable, as we do have a spin there. It was Aussie RL coming into contact with, I believe it was Tomo Tip Top, or maybe even Drone. Hedgehog, though, I'll be looking to get a move on. He's still down in 14th. AFL is held position in P5. This will be the main battle we'll be looking at over the course of the race, of course. But there'll be plenty of action on track to keep us entertained in between, I am sure. 3 DRS straights here, of course. 1 in every sector, effectively. Of course, 1 and 3/4 in sector 1. About 1 total in sector 2, and about a fifth of 1 in sector 3. I'm sure the maths add up there somehow, just maybe not 100%. But like you say, we seem to have got through lap 1 relatively unscathed.
Oh, there is a spin. Mark Wilson catches that curve on it's just on the outside of the final corner. If you do go too wide, it does unsettle your car, and he is back down to 17th. He will be gutted. Especially with the regular in the chat. We've got Danielle in the chat saying good luck, Mark. So we'll have to see how he reacts to this spin.
I hope that wasn't another case of commentators across me saying that we got through lap 1 unscathed.
Well, just I don't want to ruin it, but you were saying that as he spun, so it's a bit touch and go. But
it might be.
We'll let you off.
It might be. Might be a dubious one. Matt Rowney there, P4, having a little look at Riordan down the inside. They've turned to sort of breaking away already. 1.4 to P3. Matt Rowney maybe got a little bit more pacier than Riordan in front, looking to get a move done, but couldn't quite make it stick. A little bit too far back and thought better of it. It is a track where there is overtaking opportunities, but you do need to sort of pick and choose them. And
absolutely, yeah.
It can become very train-like. The J. Wells train, as we of course all experienced earlier on in the social race. You'll love to hear that mentioned there. But it is very much setting up that way at the moment. So strategy could be key here. The difference between the mediums and the softs, and Atomic and the hards, that is the one outlier that I suppose we'll wait to see how that repays in him. He's going long, maybe hoping for a safety car, hoping for a little bit of drama. Of course, we've seen it before, we'll see it again, but will we see it tonight? That is full on show. We're currently on board with Bailiff 3. He's hunting down Mean Man Moody, he's being hunted down by Piero, who's being hunted down by Reverend Melvin, who's being hunted down by Tomo Tip Top, who's being hunted down by Drone YT.
Could just keep going, Scott. It could just keep going.
It's just a train of 7 odd cars from top to bottom. A few gaps here and there. A second gap at the front now from Quick Killer to Wild Dog. About a second to Riordan. And this will be a sort of interesting thing now, because we do have DRS. So the second gaps will squeeze up. But the guys at the front won't really get much gain on the guys in front of them. We'll probably see them start to drip off into little packs.
Yeah, so you've got things like Quick Killer. He's out of that DRS, so if he doesn't make any mistakes, he can I'd say he can quite easily break away. But as I say it, it drops down to 9/10, so it is in those sort of just about little gaps forming. You just never know, do you? One mistake and you're right back in it.
That's it. Wild Dog hooked up a couple of corners very, very well, and suddenly he's back in the DRS and being able to catch up from 9 tenths to maybe 6 tenths, then the next lap down to 4 tenths, and then it's all about shaping up the move. Further back though, there hasn't been too much. I suppose the thing is, when they're all in a
No,
train,
you've
they're all
got
getting.
Hedgehog just going for a move down the inside. I think he just about
He's,
does it quite cleanly. He was behind. He was behind Drone, which is obviously his championship contenders teammate. So was there a bit of, team orders going on there, slowing him down? But I think just a little sort of back end loss from Drone. I didn't quite catch it, just out of the hairpin. Hedgehog managed to get 2 cars in one. So is there potential for things like that to happen all race?
oh, definitely. Speaking, I'm just gonna. I think I'm gonna stop speaking because as soon as I move away from action, we get action. Telmo Tip Top has came into the pits, so I wonder if he's riding with some damage. We'll keep on board with him because there isn't too much shaping up at the moment. See
Yeah,
if he
I'm
does get a
happy
front
to
wing.
do that. It looks like the wing is being changed, so
It
yeah, he
is
must
that.
have had some damage.
There's been
Even
some.
the tiniest bit of damage here in Singapore can make it very, very difficult, and you can lose seconds to the people ahead of you. So this might not be a bad strat, especially if a safety car comes out later on.
Oh, absolutely. And like you're saying, yeah, the slightest bit of damage to the front wing. We know the setup round here, sorry, it is roundabout, if you're brave, you go for 10 front wing. Most people will be about 11, of course, the maximum. And even then, some people will be wishing for more. But, yeah, it can be very, very costly, the slightest little bit of damage. And all it takes is a little lapse in concentration, little run wide, a little bit oversteering or lack of steering input. And you can lose that end plate on either side very, very early. One thing to note from this top flight battle here. Quick Killer, 76% ERS. Wild Dog, 11% ERS. Riordan, 70. Matt Rowney, 70. AFL, 70. So
Right,
Wild
so
Dog, he did close down into the DRS range of Quick Killer, but he has just blown through his entire load of ERS battery for the time being. So,
especially a track like this, and he does pick up a penalty as well, so that will be crucial. He's obviously penalty and low ERS. That might it puts him at a massive disadvantage, especially when Quick Killer. You've only got the one, was it 3 DRS zones, but I think only one that gives you sort of quite a large overtaking opportunity. With Quick Killer's ERS advantage, it gives him quite a lot to work with, especially in defending, which we might see now.
absolutely, it gives him a little bit extra push to try and break away. And is that a spin further back?
It's Aussie RL again. Trying to see if he's got any damage. He might have got away unscathed, I think. I think it was just a spin.
Just a
Can't see any
spin.
visual damage right now.
That's not too bad for him, of course. He is 5 seconds back from the next car, but it will save him 20 seconds in the pits, at least anyway, changing that front wing. You can see there, though, with the DRS, not even really touching the ERS there through that first DRS straight. They've all grouped up. They're all within about half a second of each other there and thereabouts. On to the next DRS straight. Matt Rowney's pushing ERS. Riordan isn't. Wild Dog might be. We don't know with such a low input. He is kind of flashing it on and off, it seems. Quick Killer's just saving his for the time being. I'm surprised, to be fair, there hasn't been a move yet. I would have thought with the DRS, the slipstream, and a bit of ERS from the guys behind it, there might have been a move. But Wild Dog going a little deep through the bridge there and looking to get a little bit squirmy on those soft tyres. We know they don't last very long. And 4 laps, about to be 5 laps, they are going off. And here comes Wild Dog into the pits.
Is this big brain, or is it... Oh, Matt Rowney got the pen for speeding in the pit lane.
Well, Matt Rowney, I would say Matt was definitely struggling with the tyres there, because while we were talking about that, AFL had got past him on the mediums. So the mediums probably, well, not probably, definitely the faster tyres now to be on. And AFL's done well to stick with the front runners up until this point. He's got a 2-second gap to Scott K behind. He's got 67-ish% battery, well, he had at the start. And he was looking to line up a move in Riordan. Can't quite make it done there at the first DRS zone. Mark Wilson, though, on those mediums, plunging in fastest lap after fastest lap. So that just shows the pace these tyres have around here. And all of the guys that pit there going for the mediums. So I'd expect to see a 2-stop from them. A medium, maybe a medium, maybe a medium soft. It will, of course, depend on how safety cars and the likes pan out. Mean Man Moody slightly further back from this front group. He's catching Scott Gay at a good rate of knots here. Getting a better exit in and out of the hairpin. Scott Gay is low on ERS in front of him. Mean Man Moody having a look up the inside. Thinks better of it.
Oh,
goes back in for it. And maybe a little bit indecisiveness there from him. Cost him.
Absolutely. I think if he had just kept his nose in, it may have been sort of a bit better for him. But that might have caused sort of that little damage that the game doesn't show you. We'll have to see. But I think it was a bit optimistic, and it didn't quite work out for him.
Was a little bit optimistic, but like you say, the little indecisiveness might have cost the contact as Riordan jumps into the pits. Toma Tip Top getting a penalty for crossing the pit lane exit line. I've never seen a straight...
Definitely bring your attention to it, and it may be sort of the move. Just to bring a few things to bring your attention though. Obviously, we're praising the mediums here. We've got people like Rev Melvin up on hard and Hedgehog in 5th, also on hard.
No, Hedgehog's on the mediums. The only person on hard.
It does say on mine that Hedgehog's on the hard.
Aha. Codemaster. It says mine is in 6-lap old mediums, currently in P5. Yellow tyres on the car, but that could be wrong.
We never know. We'll never know.
The only man that will know
we'll
is
never know
Hedgehog
the truth
himself. If we see Hedgehog with a long set of mediums going 15 laps longer than they should do, he might be on hards. For me, everybody's in mediums apart from Atomic, Quick Killer, and Scott Gay.
Okay, well,
Codemasters, we love you. First retirement of the night, however, is Tomo Tip Top in the pits. And speaking of the pits, Quick Killer picks up a 5-second penalty on his
could be costly
entry. That could be huge. Could be
he
absolutely
did show some good
huge.
pace. We showed some good pace on those softs, but as we stated at the start, this pit lane is difficult. It's quite a hard thing to master.
It's sort of like a double, almost a triple left-hander. A really hard breaking point and a fine line for error. Not like a lot of them where you can straight line it.
Especially when with that corner you are used to sort of just sending it and throwing the car left around that final corner. You've got to sort of get out of that mindset because things like that can happen.
It's one of them things. You're maybe better off losing a few times, losing a little bit of a time on the cars in front, instead of getting a 5-second penalty for crossing the line, speeding into the pits, or an even bigger penalty in the form of no front tyres when you hit that wall. We'll wait and see if that comes into play, of course. Nobody doing it so far, which we love to see. All the action at the moment, further back down the field. This is sort of nice little battle for P11 at the moment. Mark Wilson, Quick Killer, Piero, Bailiff, Mean Man Moody, Scott Gay, and Aussie. And that just goes to show how big of an undercut actually it was. Mark Wilson had that spin, remember? He was down in about P7. He spent 4 laps on the mediums, and he's actually came out ahead of Quick Killer.
Wow, yeah, these well, there you go. That might I've eaten my words again. The mediums might be the one at the moment. Obviously, you know, Quick Killer has come out on the hards, but that's a strategic move from him. I think he's been talking sort of about a strategy sort of privately, and you know, it might work for him because those medium runners do still have to pit. So.
Sorry to interrupt, Dan. We were riding on board there with our first on-track retirement of the night. It is not Mean Man Moody, it is Piero into the bridge, and that'll be the first safety car of tonight.
Strategy out the window. So there we go.
Everything we've just talked about, completely out the window. This will be good for the likes of Hedgehog, likes of Drone, Reverend Melbourne, AFL that have took them mediums, Funny Osh Chimp as well, and even Atomic on the hards. Well, maybe not Atomic as such, because he doesn't have a set of hards to go into. But those guys that started in the medium, took them all the way here. They've got a free pit stop out of this.
Absolutely, yeah. You've got someone like Mark Wilson, who I think pit early on for the set of mediums, has jumped on those hards. I'm not going to say that actually because it might be different on your screen, but let's just wait.
He is on the hards. I think we could see the majority of the front runners, front 6, well, 5 of the front 6, of course, coming in for hards. Atomic, he's got a big choice here. Gamble long on the hards, or go medium to the end, I would say.
Again, track like this, track position, those hards, obviously only 8 laps old. Is this when they come into their sort of element, and it says when they're in their sort of prime temperature, will they be fast for them? A couple of laps, obviously, get about 6 laps in, people behind you on the mediums, and that's when they start catching you. But it might not be a bad shout. Obviously, gamble for another safety car. I think we call it the do-wheel strat up in tier 1.
The do-wheel strat, the do-wheel special. Is that
I'm sure he won't mind me saying that as well.
is that a general thing this season, or is that another link to his sort of Monaco prowess? Is that how he wins all the races at Monaco? Just goes in the hard.
Not quite a thing this season, but I think a few times in his 2 championship seasons, he did that strat quite a lot. Obviously, some tracks he didn't quite have the pace of others, but his strategic sort of prowess with that taking the hards longer, did win him races. So that's why we say this is the do-wheel strat.
There we go. All 5 of the other 6, apart from Atomic, coming in for the hards. It looks like Wild Dog not pitting, also Matt Rowney and Riordan. Of course, they were only a few laps in on the mediums. You can sort of understand that. And Atomic started on the hards, started down in about P14, I believe it was. He'll be our safety car restart leader. Yeah. Going long has paid out for him track position, and like you say, all he needs to do is defend from Wild Dog, Matt and Riordan. We know they are pacey for a few more laps. And, well, 5 laps, let's say. And the hards could slowly start the swing and be the better tyre.
Yeah, even if he does sort of get overtaken, he just needs to stick with them, wait for those mediums to go off. Any little mistakes, and that's it. He's right back up there.
Absolutely. Oz Chimp, funny Oz Chimp, he's pitted. He's went for a set of mediums, as has Bailiff Free. Now, I don't know too well. I doubt the mediums will go to the end. So they're either hoping that the 2-stop is quicker, or they're praying for another safety car. Bit of alternate strategy. This is what we came to expect from Singapore, of course. Alternate strategy is the default. There's lots of different options people can do, especially in Tier 4. At Tier 1, you'll see a bit more of the same from everybody, because they try and cover each other, and they all spend about 18 hours a day trying to work out the alternate strategy. Tier 4 guys, bit more roll of the dice, bit more fun and gun. And we love to see the little mix up here.
We do, as we said at the start, one safety car, and that throws everything out the window. Strategies being mixed up, and that's exactly what we're seeing here. We've got AFL, obviously started on the mediums. He didn't really have any other choice but to go on those hards, I don't think. Just obviously, there isn't another safety car. Those hards will take him to the end. Obviously, the softs wouldn't have, so it may have thrown a bit of a spanner in the works for him.
Absolutely. We'll wait and see how this all pans out. Mean Man Moody will be the last car to join the queue. He will join at the end of this lap, but he will, of course, being so late into lap, have one more under safety car. So it will be lap 12. We'll regain racing here. That will leave us, get my abacus out, 19 laps of the Singapore Grand Prix. Just under halfway-ish, sorta, kinda. Plenty of action still to be had. Only 2 retirements so far. These guys doing very good to keep it within the track limits. Of course, the track limits here not being the white line so much, as more as a solid concrete wall. It's plastered lovely, lovely with various sponsors, such as those ones you see on your right. And only 1 on-track retirement, actually, not even 2. So, very clean race so far. Good little bit of action, a few overtakes here and there. And the strategy masterclass, or the strategy battle we were hoping to see, is completely out the window, and now we've got an even better strategy class. Well, some might argue better, some might argue a bit more predictable, but you can never predict racing.
No, you're absolutely right. And this thing is going to be, obviously you don't sort of have any, the only sort of pattern here is 5th to 9th all on hards, but apart from that, you've got medium, hard, medium, all over the place. So as you said, I think there'll be a few sort of overtakes and maybe a few sends sort of later on to this race when people try, obviously, just when their tyres have the advantage, because obviously you've got people so close together now after the safety car.
Absolutely. Different tyre compounds, different age tyres as well. 4-lap-old mediums, 10-lap-old hards, fresh hards, 2-lap-old hards, 4-lap-old mediums. I've already said that. But, such a variety here. Shame we didn't have anybody gamble in the softs. That would have been the risky strategy, but we'd have just added a nice little new colour on the left hand side there. Expect the safety car in this lap, as there we go. Speak and you will receive. Sorry, I'm getting quite good at that this season. Of course, last week out, given Piero, I believe it was, the safety car when I spoke about it this week. Bringing it back into the pits so we can get back on with racing once more. Through the final sector here. Of course, the key thing for these guys on this restart, make sure those tyres are nice and up to temp, especially the hards, more so than the mediums. It takes a little bit longer to get them into a nice operating window. But once they're in that window, they'll work a treat after a few laps. Once they're rubbered in, Atomic, his first CRL safety car restart, if I do believe so. I haven't seen him do it unless it's been...
definitely making the most of it as well, warming those tyres up, letting the safety car get back, giving himself plenty of time.
Very nice and late one. Safety car is coming in, and it is a very late one. And he is away. We are back racing here in Singapore, grouping up the 3 cars behind him.
Oh, you've got 4 wide. Oh, Austrian and Scott Gay collide. I don't think any of them are... Scott Gay's definitely got damage on that front right, but he just squeezed Oschimp out on the outside.
A little bit. You're always going to get them under safety cars, especially when it's so tight and everybody's so racing. We have another yellow flag. That's Mark Wilson having a spin at the back, not the way he would have wanted his restart. This was almost his ticket back into the race after that earlier spin. And it's slipped away from him for the meantime. Riordan, Matt Rowney going side by side through Sector 2. Matt Rowney clipping the wall there by the looks of it. Hope for his sake that isn't a little bit of damage. Another yellow flag in Sector 2. This has just sort of spiced the race back up. Everybody competing for positions. Everybody so tight, so close together. But Atomic on the old hards, still the man out in front so far. Further back, we're missing a little battle here. Scott Gay, I do believe he has damage. Yes, going slow. Spider Rob going back. Yeah, Spider Rob getting overtaken again by Scott Gay. There's a beautiful camera angles, Codemasters. That wing doesn't look too bad on Scott, but of course, we do know the nice little, I suppose, what's the technical term? Winglets. Is that the official term they use?
Which one's that? The on the front?
Yeah,
on
the front wing. You've obviously got the end plates, but then you've got other little bits on the wing. You've got little winglets, I suppose they're called. And the game's very good at giving you slight damage and not telling you.
Absolutely, yeah. It's happened many a times, especially sort of through all the tiers. So I'm sure that's exactly what's happening right now.
Wild Dog and Matt Rowney getting past Atomic down into turn 1. He won't be worried too much about that. Of course, he hasn't stopped yet, and did start down in the low half of the grid. He'll just be waiting for those tyres to come back to life on his hards and take advantage of them against the fresher, the fresher mediums. Riordan, though, will be looking to have a move on him as soon as possible to keep up with the 2 front runners at the moment. Scott Gay is into the pits, as is Bailey Free, so the both of them picking up some sort of wing damage in the opening safety car restart.
Keep an eye on the sort of the back for you.
Yeah, it's one of those races, especially when you get a safety car restart. The action's all over the place. Obviously, we're trying to keep an eye on things at the front, as Riordan does go around the outside of Atomic, who goes deep and gets the move done very nicely. Maybe a little later than he would have hoped, but the move is done nonetheless. Speaking of this safety car sort of bringing the pack together, Hedgehog AFL find themselves within about a second of each other, or 2 seconds of each other, with only 2 cars between them. So the championship battlers, not far from having on-track battlers. Of course, both on the same laps, age tyres, both on hards, both willing and racing to get as many points here tonight as they possibly can. Quick car.
You're absolutely right, and as I said, I think you may have been right with Hedgehog on those mediums, because it now says he's on 2-lap old hards. So I'll give you that one.
It might have just been a good old glitch from EA Codemasters, as we love and know them for. AFL gets past Atomic. He's starting to struggle on those hard early laps. The guys on the fresher tyres just having a bit more pace advantage at this stage, but still running P5. Very solid up there. It's always going to be tricky when softer and fresher tyres behind you are trying to make the move. but he would have took that at the start of this race, I believe, with his qualifying to be running here at the midway point. Raven, Melvin and Quick Killer, the two McLarens the next behind him. And this is just backing these guys up together and kind of closing the gap for likes of Hedgehog, likes of Funny Ostrip, likes of Drone. It's a big train here from P4 effectively, all the way down to P12. And it's just about who can make the move, who can get through the train the quickest, and who can do it cleanly enough. Because if you can escape the train, you can take off into the sunset. Because the guys behind you will be battling out, waiting for that DRS. As we see them, the rear wings of both McLarens here opening up wide. Reverend Melvin shaping up a move, a little bit of touching on the rear of Atomic, who goes into the wall. I don't know if that had something to do with the contact, but loses out 2 positions to Reverend Melvin and Quick Killer. Quick Killer getting past his teammate as well while that was all going on. But yeah, like I was saying, you can get clear of the DRS, get clear of the train, you can just sort of take off into the distance. Hedgehog now the next to line up for Atomic. Will we see him to get into the pits? He is struggling a lot with front end downforce. They're clattering the wall, but chooses not to stay out. Chooses to stay out, not dive into the pits. So maybe getting fortunate with that damage there.
I completely lost my train of thought.
Matt
just zoned out for a second.
Further up is closing up. We do have yellow flags. That is the Alfa Romeo of Drone at turn 2.
It is, and he will get that 3-second penalty just for cutting that corner. But I think I think that's fair enough. Obviously, he's spun. You know, I think a little bit damage now. Can I see? Is that what we've got? No, it's just me talking. Utter rubbish.
Oh, it's funny. Oz Chips go for a very audacious move on Atomic through the middle sector. The gap wasn't really there, but just outbraking himself slightly and having a little spin. Lucky not to cause any more damage further up the grid, because there was a few cars close together there. Unfortunate for him. Further up front, I thought Matt Rowney was closing the gap on Wild Dog to begin with, but oh, it's Atomic, goes deep into the hairpin, collects the back of Aussie, and does spin, losing out to Mean Man Moody and Mark Wilson. I'll finish this sentence at some point today, Dan. Matt Rowney was closing down to about 4 attempts on Wild Dog, but the gap just started to stretch back out again. But then Matt coming back through, so I wonder if this is a battle of the sectors. Maybe Wild Dog faring a little bit better in sectors 1 in the first part of sector 2, and then Matt having a better, stronger sector 2 and 3 and able to close up the gap. It could of course be DRS, I could just be waffling, but we'll keep an eye on that battle for the immediate future and see what happens, because it is of course for the professional race lead. Both of them are on penalties. A little update on penalties at the moment. Both on Wild
Aussie
Dog
making
3.
a move on Hedgehog on turn 1. Sorry to interrupt.
No, quite right.
Little bit of contact, little bit of squeeze. Oh, he's spun him. That was definitely commentator's curse, Scott.
That was. I'm glad it was you and not me this time.
I didn't say any names though, so I won't take any credit for that one.
Well, we'll leave it at that then. Mean Man Moody does get the move on Aussie. That's great news, I suppose, if you're AFL. But horrible news if you're Hedgehog. But Aussie does clip the wall. I'd expect, just for the context of the title battle, that'll be a report for the stewards.
Yeah, we love to see it.
We certainly do. We certainly do. Quick Killer though is catching up to the back of AFL. Matt Rowney's still not able to hook up and get close enough to Wild Dog for a move so far. And Quick Killer a little bit late in the brakes, a little bit of a dive almost, but keeps it clean. Manages to avoid the rear of that Alfa Romeo in front of him. And the grid starting to space itself out, as particularly a lot more than what we've seen in the first sort of stint.
No, you are right.
Gaps.
I was going to say, I think the two, well, there's only 3 sort of close battles at the moment. You've got Matt Rowney to Wild Dog 8 temps. You've got Quick Killer to AFL 4 temps. And I think it's Aussie to Me Man Moody with 8 temps, but Hedgehog has just closed it to Spider Rock.
So the battle's getting a bit far and few. Normally we say, this safety car just brought the race back to life, spiced it up.
Atomic going slow. Does that mean he's got damage?
It looks like it, losing 2 positions
It does
there.
look like it.
Hedge and Spider Rob, of course, on the 15 lap hold hards. Did restart at the front on those hards, but maybe starting to struggle with grip. Quick Killer, though, he's looking to make a move on the Alfa Romeo of AFL down the very first the second DRS straight, technically, if we count this finish line. The first, and gets it moved on for P4 at the moment. AFL, of course, not having pens. Further back, Aussie is tight on the gearbox of Mean Man Moody to shape up a move soon, as well as Hedgehog side by side with Spider Rob. Spider Rob backing out of there on the inside and just conceding position. I'm sure Hedgehog will be grateful for that, but maybe I'd like to see a bit more closer racing. Of course, we all love to see tight to tight racing, but Spider Rob maybe acknowledging that Aston Martin has been a bit quicker than him this race. Try and hook onto the back of him and pull yourself forward. We've seen it done before. Very effective strategy for some of the, maybe not the top runners. I've done it plenty of times myself. Just let the faster guy go, get the slipstream in the DRS, and it can make you a few seconds.
No, you are absolutely right. I am one of those that does that also. Oh, there is a turn 1. I think there's a spinner. I'm not sure if that's an incident, but Bailiff 3 seems to be facing the wrong way.
I wonder if it's Scott Gay was just coming out of the pits by the looks of the map and his tyres. Zero lap mediums. I wonder if it was a little coming together. Scott leaving the pits and Bailiff going around turn 1 as Aussie jumps into the pits. We were on board with him. That was the closest battle. There's not many of them within the set. Matt just hovering about that 9, 8, 10th advantage. Well, distance, sorry. Well, of the advantage of DRS, but isn't able to really make it work to close the gap down on Wild Dog. Riordan at the moment, no pens, looking in a fairly strong position here. AFL much the same, but of course he has got a big gap to the guys at the front. But of course there is 12 and a bit laps to go here. Anything, absolutely anything and everything can and possibly will happen.
You are absolutely right. Oh, as you can see, like you said, Riordan sat in sort of quite a nice sort of position here. Matt Rowney obviously he's 3.2 seconds. So I'm gonna quick look at penalties. It is so Matt Rowney does have 5 seconds, but Wild Dog has 3. So if he can close that gap, he's in a very good position.
Well, gap to leader at the moment is about the 3.7 mark. So 7 tenths over the course of 12 laps. That's nothing. It can be done. But the interesting thing to keep an eye on here, these front 3 may need to box. Yeah, I don't know if these mediums are going to go to the end. I very much doubt it. So that could see them fall down the grid further. And that could promote AFL.
Right, but is this... no, I'm not... Don't quote me on this. Again, some people might need to fact check me, but I think this is the track where a certain Mr. Freefall made a name for himself, was it not? Coming in for it. Was this, I remember when it was the Academy days and you came in, I think you took your tyres sort of quite long and we were very impressed, so don't count it out.
Yeah, I'll correct your fact check. It was my car. I had just vacated it for another car in Tier 3 by this race. This was one of the races after I'd been bumped up. Well, that was Mazel's.
Correct.
So.
I think it was. It may have been your teammate. So I apologise for that. But I was just trying to be.
Yeah, trying to give me a nice little boost. That was season 4. Season 4. Yep, round 4, I believe. And it was after the first 3. The sort of what would you call them? The trial races, the inauguration races, where everybody switches about. And Mazel's, he'd done a reserve at round 3 in Japan. Came in full-time seat for round 4. Wasn't really one anybody had on their radar, shall we say. Nobody had any expectations on him, and he absolutely dominated the race with that strategy. Like you say, getting up a surprise win on his first full-time drive. So it's been done before. Will we see it again tonight? Another thing to note, Wild Dog, I noticed very briefly there, he is back down to under 20% ERS.
Yeah, with as you said, Riordan he has closed that gap 4 tenths in the past lap. You said it was nothing, but there is a yellow flag. I think it's drone again.
I think it is drone. He's dropped back down by Hedgehog. I don't think there was much any coming together from them. I think it was just Drone running a little bit wide through that right hander at the end of DRS straight. We can get a bit of overspeed if you're a bit ever so slightly late on the brakes, and like we've said before, that slightest little bit of error in the entry or the exit of the corner, and you're either getting a 3-second penalty or a new front wing. Very, very, very cruel and unforgiving track. Speaking of front wings and I suppose pit stops, Spider-Rob P13, he slapped on a set of softs. 11 laps to go.
Interesting.
Now, it's not out of the realms of possibility. I would say you probably could take them 11 laps. It's just you're going to be very, very struggling here. Unless he's maybe decided, I'm not in with too much this race. Let's go for the alternative strategy. Late safety car, pumps on another set of softs at the end. He'll be very racy for the last 11 laps. I'll give him that.
He will. I'm expecting him to sort of make up a few positions. Well, maybe just the one. I've just seen there's a 21-second gap between sort of 12th and 11th, but you never know, do you? Especially with the, as we've said before, sort of the pace difference between these tyre compounds. It's just sort of the length that they can go into the race.
That'll be it. The first 3 to 4 laps, he'll be very, very punchy with his lap times compared to the others on the mediums and the hards. And speaking of mediums, Riordan, 13 laps on the mediums. He's into the pits for another set of mediums.
That is a smart move from him, in my opinion. It's
a safe and smart call. We've seen how powerful the undercut was. Of course, his battle at the moment is sort of with Matt Rowney and Wild Dog. He will, of course, as those hard runners in front of him start to lose a little bit of pace, lose a bit of life in the tyre, will have a shot at catching and making the move. But it is the famous quote, what is it they like to say? It's one thing to catch, it's another thing to overtake.
Absolutely, yeah. Especially on a track round here, you're absolutely right.
That's another J. Wells quote that he loves to say. He's getting a lot of mentions tonight, the lad.
He is. He is also in the chat. Obviously, we were discussing Mazzles, him being an academy driver at that time as well. He obviously wasn't a fan of the result in that race. Then he got a VSC as he entered the pit lane with a snoring emoji. So he's not sure he took that too well.
I see, but he's got a short memory, our Josh. He remembers back to round 2 of that season. He got the exact same thing and stole a win out from under my nose. So
there we go.
It all swings and roundabouts. It all evens out by the end of the season. you get some and you lose some. But this gap at the front.
I'm proud to see his reaction to that in the chat while you crack it.
Oh, I can't wait. This gap at the front, 6 tenths. Matt Rowney slowly starting to ease it in. None of these two looking like they're going for the pit. Of course, say it's about well, we look where Riordan came out. He came out in P8. I would say probably with the undercut, he's in a bit of fresh air at the moment. He would probably get the jump in the two of them. So they'd be looking about P7, 8, 9, round about that stage. Maybe it's worth going on the gamble. You've got a 12-second gap to quick killer further back. Nurse the tyres a little bit. Not push quite as hard. And see if it works out for you. I mean, why not?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Just a quick one from the spectators in the chat. We do have Steiny asking how many time pens everyone has. Scott, if you can chuck that up for them.
Absolutely stick that up for Mr. Steinschlag. Of course, commentary box last week. A lovely, lovely fella and a member of the community we all know and love. Wild, I nearly said 2 names at the same dog there. I nearly tried to convince Wild Dog and Matt Rowney into one. Wild Dog on 3-second pens at the front. Matt Rowney in P2 and Quickler in P3 on 5 seconds, as is Raven Melvin in P5. Mark Wilson in P7, Drone in P10, also having pens 9 and 3 seconds respectively, with Spider Rob 6 and Scott Gay 3. Of course, a few 5 seconds here for in the pits. I don't think there was any collisions under safety car, so don't expect any of these to be removed anytime soon. Riordan, though, getting a move done on Mark Wilson. Those 12 lap powers not able to match the pace of the fresh mediums at this stage of the Grand Prix. Mean Man Moody as well. He's starting to catch up and cling to the back of Reverend Melvin. He's got no penalties. So, depending how things end up, maybe, you know, it'll take quite a few penalties and maybe a little bit of drama in the last few laps to get him on the top step of the podium. But definitely in with a chance of a podium, depending how things go between him, AFL, Quick Killer and Reverend Melvin in the last few laps. That is, of course, assuming that the front two don't pit. If he do pit, he's in for a brilliant, brilliant chance. This is Riordan, actually, in fact. It'll be a challenge. 7 seconds to close down to get to the back of Mean Man Moody, but if he can do that, push on, then not one to count out for at least a top 5, top 4. Just looking back at the chat there, Dan, Joshua Williams, or G Wills, it is what it is. Season 6 is the title challenge. You heard it here first, folks. Div 2
is that the tier 2 title challenge, is it?
I think we put him in Div 1 just so he hasn't got much of a chance.
I think the same. He's he can join me. You know, he can join me in the pain.
Speaking of pain, Spider Rob having a bit of pain on those softs, it seems, back onto a set of mediums after only 4 laps, so not the way he would have wanted them to go, but sometimes the gambles pay off and sometimes they just don't. Riordan, though, we were saying it was 7 seconds a little over a lap ago. He's pulled out 4.7 seconds to Mark Wilson behind him, and he's cut the gap from 7 to 4 seconds to Mean Man Moody.
Yeah, he has. It's as you said, keep your eye out because it's gonna spice up the end of this race.
And the two at the front, but there we go, fastest lap, a 1:40.5, 1 second quicker going by the calcs on the screen than what his previous lap was. Wild Dog and Matt Rowney aren't losing out too much time to Quick Killer behind them, even though they're on 2 lap older and softer tyres. It'll be interesting. Just maybe the one stop is going to work out for these guys here. Maybe that safety car just stretching beyond the sort of window that would make it possible. The tyres will be screaming. The tyres will be very, very dodgy. So we do have a yellow flag in Sector 2 very briefly. Not sure what that was for. But it could be all down between these two. Who can manage the tyres slightly better and get the most out of them? Riordan, although he's setting really good pace at the moment, he could be kicking himself because he was right up there with these guys.
You are absolutely right. It all just depends because how long the tyre's been going now? 17 laps on those mediums at the top. You know, not quite sure they can make it another 6-7 laps. If they can, I'll be very impressed. Obviously, they're going to be going right down to the last of the tire, or if they are. So, you know, I think it was a good call from Riordan. As you can see, 2.2 behind me, Man Moody now. I think he's definitely going to be sort of back up there in a few laps' time.
Definitely. I wonder if the others at the front are maybe just going to try and stretch it, maybe 1 or 2 more laps, and fire on the softs and go for. We know they are pretty quick for about 6 laps. Pit the end of this lap, that'll give them pretty much 6 laps to go for. It will, however, see them drop down to about P7. As Matt Rowney, he's not thinking about pitting at the moment. He's thinking about getting past Wild Dog, and he does, using the DRS and ERS. Oh, there's a little bit of contact into the wall. His front wing looks intact. It looks all safe at the moment, but that could be disaster for him. There's yellow flags further down the field. That looks to be drone again, having a little spin through the final corner. And Wild Dog picking up another 3-second penalty, so that'll be him up to 6 now.
Crucial. Oh, and he goes right into the back of Matt Rowney. That's definitely wing damage. If it isn't, I am surprised.
Of course, it is only.
But that just that puts AFL above him.
It's Spider Rob, the car in front of lap down. He's just hit the wall, and that is a safety car. Well,
here we go. This is gonna make the race a little bit spicy, Scott.
This certainly will. This is big stuff for likes of Matt Rowney, I would say, because not only can he slap on a nice little fresh set of softs now, he can also serve that 5-second penalty.
You are absolutely right. You've also got, I think, someone else that might benefit is Hedgehog. Obviously, he's on those hards. There's 6 people having on penalties. You know, if he can stick with the pack, or maybe even get a few overtakes at the safety car restart, he may have put himself right back up there.
Back up for, well, of course, Matt Rowney will serve his pen back up for maybe a P4, 5, 6, that sort of group, depending how the last few laps, of course, go. Wild Dog onto the softs, Matt Rowney onto the softs, AFL, Mean Man Moody all in as well. Reverend Melvin, quick killer.
Yeah, I was about to say you've got the 2 McLarens staying out on those hards. So do they think that track position is crucial here? Are they going to work together though? That's what we need to see. Especially us. We need to see them work together, but we won't get into that topic right now.
I mean, I would love to see 73 points on the board for McLaren, but we'll try and be as unbiased for the next 20 minutes or so, shall we say.
Absolutely right. Obviously, you've got a P4 all the way down to P9 now on fresh softs. It's going to be quite a big ask of them, especially on their penalties. But we'll just have to wait to see how it pans out, won't we?
It'll be very tricky. The only benefit for them is with the softs, they've of course got to get past Riordan on the mediums, and they're also going to be battling with each other. These guys in the softs, they don't last long. They've also got Funnyos Chimp, who's a lap down in P14, as a little bit of buffer, I suppose. Not that that'll have a huge impact with, of course, the ghosting cars, but the guys in the softs, they can't really, likes of Wild Dog, Matt, and AFL, Mean Man Moody as well, they're all good pace guys, about the same, and they can't afford to battle each other too long, because it'll just take the life out of their tyres. But at the same time, AFL, Matt Rowney, and Mean Man Moody, they're all battling for position. And there seems to be a little bit of confusion as to what is going on here with Chimp. I don't know if he's trying to unlap.
Funny off Chimp, he's trying to unlap himself, I think. Quite surprised the game's let him do that, not going to lie to you. Especially obviously under safety car conditions, it's quite strange. But I don't think he'll be allowed to overtake the safety car. And if he does, it'll be quite a hefty penalty. Not from us, but from the game.
Now, you can overtake under safety car if the car in front of you is backing out. So I wonder if that's what was going on there. I wonder if Riordan and Chimp, maybe a little bit of, not team orders, but a little bit of mates understanding almost, that if he backs off a little bit, opens up the gap to the car in front, then of course Chimp can overtake him. But the only downside for Chimp with that is he needs Quick Killer to do that, to be able to get in front of P1 and unlap himself. And at the moment, Quick Killer isn't doing that.
No, you're absolutely right.
He's got no obligation, of course, to do that, and it is a risk for him that he could, because we do know it does let you, they do let you get overtaken, if you form up too much of a gap. So you can understand why. Chimp, maybe we've seen it before. I believe it was Canada. We had somebody get DSQ'd for doing it. So fortunate for Chimp not to have that happen to him. But it's a feature we all wish they would add to the game, because it would just make that a little bit more to the guys at the back, just give them that little bit more to play for towards the end of the Grand Prix.
Absolutely. What's this? I think it may. Oh, was a severe collision. 5-second penalty. Aussie with Mark. It's obviously a disadvantage for Aussie. Did Mark Wilson get a penalty for that? I don't think he did. I think it was just Aussie that did.
I believe Mark does have a 5-second penalty somewhere, because
I want to have a look at the race director.
Oh, let's see. This is the Karun Chandok I've been needing. He does have 14 seconds, which to me would be 3 seconds and a 5
Oh,
second.
he did get that 5-second penalty from a collision with Aussie. That's obviously removable because he was the car in front. I don't think he was doing anything wrong. So I think that's another one for the stewards there.
Could be a busy.
Oh, and he's
tomorrow.
doing it again. Oh. He's just done it again. They've both just collided again.
Oh, not
I
what
think
we
that
want.
time was a mix of obviously Mark braking, trying to warm up those brakes, but then Ozzy being too close behind him and not braking hard enough.
It will
I think we'll
be,
have to see.
of course, like
Uh,
you said.
just look at the top, sorry. Reverend Melvin and Riordan, they've switched. So maybe a bit of respect between drivers there. Obviously, Riordan managed to get ahead because obviously he was going a bit too slow. Maybe he gave him the position back. Just looking at the tier 4 chat here, it looks like that's exactly what happened. So a good, nice bit of fair play there from Riordan.
Lovely to see. That's maybe what was going on. Reverend Melvin Riordan letting past Chimp just to let him on lap. Riordan getting the jump, and Reverend Melvin maybe not quite up to speed what was happening, but going for the fair play. That is definitely one up there. Moment of the season, fair play award of the season. It's Reverend Melvin and Funny O's Chimp get a little touchy together, and
Oh
no,
no!
that is the last thing you want to do. You let the guy by, and you end up touching the back of him. Riordan might be sitting there thinking, "Thank you that I did that, because that could have been me."
Absolutely, he's at least he's now sort of obviously sort of played it well. Just been sort of a good guy, sort of respectful guy, and it may sort of now work in his favour.
That's maybe a thing to show that good guys don't always finish last, because Riordan is in a prime position to not to not finish last year, but in fact take the win in Singapore. Safety car should be in this lap, and that will give us lap 29, lap 30, and lap 31 of some very, very tasty action. So we see most of the grid on fresh softs, 15 cars running, 11 on fresh softs, all fighting for position, and the front three, as well as Atomic down in P8, trying to hold out the very, very best that they can.
You're absolutely right, and I think it all comes down now. Obviously, that DRS won't be activated now for the last 3 laps of this race. So it's all down to who can optimize their ERS. Everybody should be sat on that 100%. Obviously, being sat behind this safety car, so it's going to be down to who uses that to their advantage.
It will definitely. It will give advantage to some of the cars. We've seen Wild Dog drained his earlier on in the race. Quite aggressive in his ERS management. Of course, it'll be business as usual if that is his strategy with the ERS. He can just absolutely blast through it, drain that battery over the next few laps, and really just go from there. Reverend Melvin picking up another 5-second penalty with Chimp. It just goes from bad to and then it looks like another one further down. That was Bailiff and I believe Scott Gay coming together. But it will be safety car in this lap. It's horrible to watch, especially when you know all you need to do is leave that little bit of space. But we are back to full throttle. Reverend Melvin
early as well.
Reverend Melvin getting caught very sleeping and very slow around the final turn. And Matt Rowney getting the jump on Wild Dog already on the restart.
In a great position, especially with the penalties in front. Him and Riordan are going to be, is that the Mercedes and the Aston Martin? Sorry, they're going to be battling for that now, knowing that if they can stick with this pack, this is their race to win.
Absolutely. It'll be down between them two. AFL, the championship contender, in also a great position with no pens. His rival, Hedgehog, of course, has got a number of cars in front of him on penalties, but he'll need to do some amazing work to get in front of AFL at the end of this race. Of course, 40 points for the win here. The gap between them two, only 10. So there is plenty of opportunity for this title battle to swing back and forward in the next 3 races, and it looks like it may be swinging back to AFL's favour tonight, but of course we've got 2 and a bit laps to go, and I don't want to speak too early on anything because we all know what my title, my championship, commentator, that's the word, my commentator curse is like. Atomic having a little bit of a spin though.
There's a yellow flag.
It is at
that is
the hairpin. Not how he would have wanted his restart to go. Back in the reserve for the Haas as Riordan Matt Rowney side by side through the final sector. That McLaren of Reverend Melvin
kept it clean.
Maybe exactly what you're saying, Reverend Melvin and Quick Killer. A front gunner and a rear gunner. And if that is the case, Reverend Melvin is doing an absolutely scintillating job of being a rear gunner for Quick Killer out front.
Yeah, that gap up to 3.5, just another 1.5 seconds, and Quick Killer may have got away with it, but I don't think with Matt Rowney on those softs, obviously he's gonna get the slipstream down this long straight, and he can get the traction out the corner, as you can see there. It's I don't think it's gonna quite be for, unless Melvin can somehow sort of, maybe stick his nose in, slow him down a little bit.
He's going to need to try it. Matt Rowney getting around the outside of that last turn there and gets the move done. Kate stays in front at the end of the DRS straight. That isn't, of course, a DRS straight.
Oh, there's contact, I think.
Wild Dog Riordan getting a little bit racy behind, and that'll slow down Reverend as well, because he
I think they made contact. So Reverend Melvin sort of going a bit sideways, and Wild Dog's dived a little bit again. It's getting a bit sketchy here.
Of course, 3 compounds of tyre here in this battle. The hards on Melvin, the mediums on Riordan, who just gives Wild Dog a little tap on the rear there, and Wild Dog on the softs. Of course, Reverend Melvin and Wild Dog both on pens. Riordan not having to fight this too much if he wants position on these two. But he won't be looking at just that. He'll be looking at that Quick Killer pen at the front. We do have a yellow flag again further back. That's thrown. Not been a good night for last week's podium sitter, the P3. Of course, his first ever P3 in CRL, his first ever podium and best ever finish. So, one to forget for him tonight, but he will be bouncing back next week, I'm assuming. So, as has Wild Dog sort of tonight, and we will have DRS for the final lap here, DC.
We will.
I did not think it. I shows how much
my maths is out. My maths is out.
My maths was equally out as well then. But we have started the final lap of the Grand Prix, and look at that Matt Rowney gap, down to 1.1 already. He's not going to get DRS. He's probably not going to get a chance to overtake for the position on track, but he doesn't need to. He's got a 1.1 second
right.
gap.
He can now just sit there, cruise around the track. No, just don't make a mistake, and this is it.
Wild Dog going down the inside of Reverend Melvin. A little bit of touching further back there. I believe that was AFL and maybe Mean Man Moody. And Riordan here going for a wonderful little switch back up the inside. Can't quite make it stick. Wild Dog now side by side with him through this second sector complex of turns. And Reverend is actually doing amazing work here. He's having to brake so much earlier, of course. That's maybe catching some of the guys out on those older hards. But he's doing amazing work to defend this track position here. It just shows you how critical it can be, especially in the final few laps of the race. Riordan going down the inside though, out of the exit of the chicane. He will have DRS, he will have the last little bit of his battery.
Oh, there's a yellow flag. Who is that?
That is Bailiff down at P5. That's Riordan's went wide and hit the wall at the end of the straight.
Oh, the bit of a dive on Wild Dog and Mean Man Moody. It's definitely hotting up there now. They know that there's everything to battle for here.
Of course, the last few corners. We're going to jump quickly on board with Quick Killer. Matt Rowney's jumped to the back of him. Quick Killer will come round the final corner to cross the line and on track win the Singaporean Grand Prix.
Penalties, get 10 seconds.
It'll be 5. He had the 5 on serve. That's the way it displays on the game.
Okay.
Sadly.
Makes sense.
But Matt Rowney will cross the line in P2. Riordan P3. Hedgehog. Where is Hedgehog came from? He's up in P4.
What did I say, Scott? What did I say? This man does not get penalties, and it works for him every single time.
AFL, I believe, getting a late penalty at the end there, gets P5, and that could be crucial in the championship battle.
That has spiced things up for definitely for the Drivers' Championship.
And he does get driver of the day from the game. I'm just a bit aghast. I looked at it.
Yeah, I don't know what to say.
And I seen Hedgehog down in about P11, and he's jumped to P4 just with the lack of penalties.
No, you're absolutely right. And I said it earlier. It will play out in his favour if he just keeps it clean, and it absolutely has.
Definitely P15 to P4 for him, but a win for Matt Rowney in the Aston Martin. Quick Killer. Starting second, comes home in second, as does Riordan, starting third, and comes home in third. Hedgehog P4, beating out AFL for that P4. That'll be, I believe, about 5 points, maybe even 3 points. A difference for a Hedgehog when it comes to standings. Atomic What a drive from him, having a poor time, but keeping the penalty free. Well, getting 1 5-second penalty only. He gets P6. Reverend Melvin in the McLaren doing some strong defending at the end of the race. P7. Wild Dog P8. Mean Man Moody P9. Aussie RL in P10 with Mark Wilson, Scott Gay, Drone YT, Funny Ostrimp, the last of our finishers. Bailiff Free, Spider Rob, Piero and Tomo Tip Top. Unfortunately, not making it to the end of this race. 58 minutes, Dan. I think that might be the longest race of the season.
Well, you know, Singapore obviously. So, well, as you can see there, 1 minute 40 per lap, and how many laps was that? 31. It's yeah, it's definitely one of the longer ones we're gonna have.
Definitely, it's been an interesting long race. Of course, 2 safety cars helping out with that. We'll just see. I'm just going to see if a couple of our podium sitters want to have a little interview with us, a little talk.
Absolutely, let's do it. I'll let you lead the way.
It's we'll see who we get to join in. I would love to have AFL and Hedgehog in after this, but we'll keep that for maybe the final race or the final 2 races. One of them becomes champion or the battle gets really tight. It'd be good to have them in. But we'll wait and see if anybody joins us in the meantime. Anyway, while we wait for that, Dan, driver of the day. For me, it's a toss-up.
There are 2, yeah.
Matt Rowney did very well. You know, can't remember where he started, but brilliant drive to win the race, getting the softs on at the end and blasting through. Hedgehog, great recovery drive from him. Brilliant up to P4. And Atomic, again, not having the best of races at times, but just showing that keeping a sort of cool, steady head, never really backing out of the race or thinking that you've got nothing left to take. Getting that I think it was P6 after spinning quite a few times. It's...
Yeah, no, it's there's a few, but luckily it's not up to us, is it? So it's all down to their votes.
Well, that's of course true. All the drivers, and we do get a vote, of course, Dan. But it's up to you if you want to express that. But the drivers will be able to vote amongst ourselves for the driver of the day. That of course goes into the driver of the week. Last week's driver of the week was of course the one, the only, the Papa Strauss of Tier 3. Getting another win for him. Of course, you would have seen that if you tuned in at the channel last Thursday at 7:30 for the Tier 3 race, hosted by our very own Hedgehog 11. Excellent job in comms as always from him, and an excellent race as we always do have here. If you are looking for more racing, of course, join us back here on Thursday night at 7:30 PM for Tier 2 and Tier 3, and Tier 1 at 8:30. We do have a couple of the guys, I believe all of our podium sitters, wanting to come in for a little chat. It's just a case of if we can get them in. Of course, this new Discord thing, not quite the best setup. We've still got some teething issues with it. It seems to be an issue getting people in to have a chat at times. I believe Jacob, if he is listening, might need to sort that out.
He will.
We'll leave it in our capable. Of course, we do have a head admin here. He could maybe sort that out, couldn't he, Mr. Head Admin, Real DC, Dan, Cucumber, Collindrome. It's you're more, of course. Those that know, you're the backdoor admin. We like to say you're the fun uncle of the admin.
I'm the one that sits there and does nothing and takes all the credit for it. That's what I am.
Yeah, exactly. Bit like Nathan. It's all just Jacob.
Oh,
that's a Well, if you enjoyed having me in comments, you won't ever see me again after that comment, I'm sure. But wait, we'll give it a few minutes just to see if the guys are able to get in. And
absolutely. Let's. I'm going to go through some of these comments while waiting, if that's okay.
Absolutely. I'll get on the old buzzer and see what we can get in here. I'll hand it over to you for the meantime, Dan.
Absolutely. So we've got obviously just people reacting to the end of that. Obviously talking about all the penalties. Obviously. Hedge jumping to 4th, as we've seen, you know, big result for him, especially obviously jumping his championship, his title contender. You know, obviously extending that little lead that he's got in the drivers' championship. Obviously got Matt saying team orders from Melvin here. You know, obviously as you said, holding up those drivers, couldn't quite keep him behind as much as obviously Quick Killer would have liked. You know, we got Sabrazer saying fastest lap, so there we go. And then Josh Williams saying AFL pushed off for his 3 seconds. So, you know, that might come off and he might jump Hedgehog. You never know. We'll see what's reported.
Aye, you could see that being maybe a point of contention for the steward's office. One to maybe shake up the official standings. One that gets released post steward and later in the week. But of course, we'll have all that to come later on. Lovely engagement from everybody in the comments, of course. It's brilliant to have you here every week. The usuals, likes of J Wells, likes of Steiny, likes of Daniel, always here these weeks, week in, week out, giving us plenty of support for the Tier 4 races. Lovely to have you. Just working on a few things. Hopefully, we'll have one, if not all, of our interviewees in very soon. If
I've just heard someone join. Who we got?
We have the man himself, the race winner, Matt Rowney. Matt, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Not too bad. Race win here tonight. Must be very pleased with that. Of course, jumping on the softs at the last safety car and getting it on pains to Quick Killer, but given a few more laps, it looked like you had the pace to overtake him. How was it tonight then? Just a quick summary of the race, I suppose.
Yeah, it was such a satisfying win. I actually got a really stupid penalty at the start. I thought I was in quite a good position, and I got a really stupid speeding in the pit lane. I think I got 5 seconds.
Yeah.
And I thought I've wrecked my race because I think the first safety car come out, and me and Wild Dog stayed out on the mediums, and I knew I had to pit again. And I thought I'm going to just drop behind all these hard runners. I'm going to get stuck. I'm going to have 5 seconds, and I thought this is it, race over. But yeah, as the stint went on, I was waiting for Wild Dog to see if he was going to pit, and he never did. And I thought, is he going to go at the end? And I looked at my tyres, and I thought, I've got 16 seconds or something, 12 seconds to the other guys. I thought, I'm just going to try and hang on. And if a safety car comes, then brilliant. And then luckily it did, and Wild Dog went on the mediums, I went on the softs, and it happened to be the right tyre. And yeah, some of the moves at the end, I really enjoyed it. It was a really fun race, especially at the end.
Definitely, it was a fun race for us to watch. So I can only imagine what it was like to be sitting in the cockpits of the cars there. Absolute brilliant drive from yourselves. We were wondering that towards the end if you're going to stretch out the mediums across that 12-second gap, like you're saying to Quick Killer. It wasn't really dropping down too much, and that safety car, of course, let you serve that 5 seconds. For me, your driver of the day, just purely for that. You know, you can't really knock. It's all very well overtaking positions, but for me to be able to keep the cool head, recover from an early silly pen, and get the win back under your belt, that's absolutely driver of the day material for me, 100%.
Thank you. I'm going to give driver of the day to the safety car because I mean, I don't know what would have happened if I'd have stayed out on the. Like I said, the gap wasn't coming down, so I thought I might actually be able to manage. I think they had penalties as well, so I thought I just need to stay out and try and be like a bus at the end and keep them behind. But yeah, that safety car was, I don't know what caused it, but it was the perfect timing to just, because them mediums were absolutely gone. And I thought if I go too hard on the throttle out of the final corner, for example, I'm going to bin it. So yeah, I was really grateful for that safety car. It made all the difference.
I think it was Spider Rob in the Ferrari you might have to thank for that. Might be worth a little DM for him.
It might have happened right in front of me. That might have been it. It might have happened right in front of me, actually. I think I saw him crash right in front of me and he ghosted through my car, which made me jump a little bit. So that I might have actually seen it, yeah. It might have happened right in front of me. Oh well.
Got a good eye view of it anyway, but it doesn't seem though, Dan, as if we're getting any more of our podium sitters. But we got the main one. We got the winner. We'll not bore you folks anymore with our rambling. I believe there's a social race going on at 9:30, which we're slightly late for, but I'm sure they've left it for us since this race overran ever so slightly. So I suppose all that's left to say is, Dan, thank you very much for joining me again tonight. This has been your second columns this season.
Hopefully it is. Thank you for having me. Well, we've got three races left, so let's not count that out.
Oh, definitely. Always exciting. Of course, Russia, Brazil, and Bahrain, the last 3 races. So hopefully we'll see you back in this columns booth at some point of them three. And I suppose it's all left to say. Make sure to join us back here on Thursday night at 7:30, where we will have Tier 2 and Tier 3, and then at 8:30, where we will have Tier 1 kicking off shortly after. Title battle still ongoing in all three of those tiers, maybe slightly less than there is in this tier in Tier 1. It's a little bit more spread out, but of course the standard is incredibly high there, so it's worth a watch anyway. I've been your host, CRL Freefall. Make sure to join us next week, same time, same place, for round 13 of Season 5, Tier 4 of CRL Racing, as the drivers take to the deserts of Bahrain.